Animal diversity. The European grass frog. Rana Temporia. This is a diagram of a phylogenetic tree of the kingdom Animalia, showing animal diversity. And reading a phylogenetic tree is just like reading a family tree. The root, or the beginning of the tree, is the ancestor, and the tips of the branches represent the descendants. This shows how closely two groups are related and illustrates the evolutionary relationships, or their phylogeny. All amphibians fall under the animal kingdom and the phylum Chordata. They are in the subphylum Vertebrata, as they have a vertebrate and a notochord. The European grass frog is in the order Neura, the family Ranidae, the genus Rana, and the species Rana temporia. The European grass frog has bilateral symmetry, which means that the body can be divided into equivalent left and right halves by a single central axis. The standard original explanation for the development of bilateral symmetry was that it was for directed locomotion, or movement. However, more recent studies have proved that the development of bilateral symmetry occurred before the origin of directed locomotion. This may point towards the fact that bilateral symmetry was evolved to improve the efficiency of internal circulation rather than locomotion, and it also favors the central nervous system, for example, the spinal cord with its network of nerves in humans. Cephalization is considered an evolutionary trend, whereby nervous tissue becomes concentrated at one end. This process leads to the development of sensory organs in the head region. This helps to improve an organism's response to stimuli and helps to coordinate and control the body's movements. A high degree of cephalization is connected to bilateral symmetry, and all vertebrates qualify as highly cephalized organisms. All of the phylum Chordata are triploblastic, which means that they have three tissue layers. The formation of these two layers is the most important event in early vertebrate development. Each embryo starts as a ball of cells and moves into different cell layers. The ectoderm, which is the skin and nervous system, and is the outermost layers. The mesoderm, which is all of the internal organs and is split by the coelom, and the endoderm, which consists of the digestive system and is the innermost layer. All chordata also contain a coelom, which is a fluid-filled cavity within the mesoderm. Having a coelom contains the following advantages. It enables independent movement of the gut wall and the body wall, provides space for the growth and development of internal organs, and it can act as a circulatory medium for transport of materials or a storage area of excess or waste materials. All chordata have a closed circulatory system, in which blood is transported around the body inside veins and arteries. The blood is circulated by the pumping action of the heart. The most recently evolved vertebrates have a four-chambered heart. Frogs have a three-chambered heart, which indicates that although it may not be as evolved as a human, for example, it is still a recently evolved species. All amphibians, birds, and reptiles and monotremes possess a cloaca, which is the only posterior opening for intestinal, reproductive, and urinary tracts. This is unlike most placental mammals, which have two or three separate orifices as shown in the image. It means that there are only two openings in the gut, the mouth and the cloaca, and so amphibians contain a through gut. Amphibians are highly successful tetrapods that evolved diverse body plans that differ in modes of locomotion, reproductive specializations, and life histories, all within its own class. For example, salamanders have well-developed tails, whereas adult frogs lack tails entirely. Frogs have also evolved powerful hind limbs with a shortened vertebral column for effective jumping and a webbed toes for effective swimming. They do, of course, also have shared body plans, such as thin, moist skin for breathing. They all lay eggs, are ectothermic, fertilize externally, and go through metamorphosis. Amphibians are also characterized by their ability to exploit both aquatic and terrestrial habitats. They lay their eggs in water, and when the eggs hatch, the embryos have gills and begin their first stage of life in water. They start to develop hind and forelimbs and eventually lungs, and then they start their adult life on land. What role does an amphibian play in an ecosystem? Well, firstly, amphibians are an indicator species. Due to their sensitivity to certain environmental factors, the presence or absence of amphibians can provide information about that factor. Since amphibians live in both aquatic and terrestrial habitats at some point in their life cycles, they serve as indicators for the health of both environments. Amphibians are also very effective at converting what they eat into body mass, which makes them an important source of food for tertiary consumers. Firstly, amphibians need to be conserved because of the reasons I mentioned in the previous slide, but other interesting reasons for their conservation are as follows. Amphibians have been able to aid in helping humans with hearing problems. Scientists discovered that tangara frogs process sound very similarly to humans, and so this information can be used to help people with hearing disorders. A study on fireball newts in Japan may lead to the regrowth of damaged tissues in the human's eye. At Queen's University, scientists have found proteins on the waxy monkey frog that can be used to fight cancer. These reasons, partnered with the ones previously mentioned, are some of the reasons why I believe amphibians need to be conserved, and I hope that you've learned something new about these interesting creatures.